Well, the number of Americans filing initial unemployment claims continues to fall, but as states reimpose the shutdown orders, many Americans are facing the threat of being out of work yet again. I want to bring in the founder of Markowski Investments and host of the national radio program Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, to talk more about this. Hi, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Greta. Thank you.
What do you make of the latest jobless numbers, and are you expecting another increase as more states, start rolling back their reopening plans?
We can hope not. I think that many people out there as well are starting to recognize that their $600 extra a week that was put in the first CARES Act as far as unemployment is concerned is going to be going away at the end of July. I constantly am speaking with business owners all over the country that are still to this day having a very difficult time getting people back to work because of that. And I quite honestly, I think that the unemployment rate would be much lower. I think you'd probably be looking at anywhere between a 7.5% to 9% rate right now if that wasn't in effect, because people would be able to go back to work. They'd be forced to go back to work. When that happens, I think we're going to have a bit of a bonus. I know we're dealing with these states that are obviously having a difficult time right now, and hopefully that will ease off to some degree as we're moving forward. But the rest of the country seems to be doing pretty well, and I know that they need workers.
And many small businesses are facing the threat of having to shut down again. It's unclear if they can even apply for government aid for a second time, if they can get a second PPP loan. Why would it be so damaging for the economy for governors to reimpose shutdown orders?
It would be a death, basically a nail in a coffin for a lot of restaurants and bars in the service industry. I know it's anecdotal, but one of the things that I do is I take a look around various different business broker websites all over the country to see what businesses are selling for, and they're basically giving restaurants away. A lot of owners are just throwing their hands up in the air. 80% they're estimating in New York City that are going to have a difficult time opening up again. Some of the other surveys, national surveys, Yelp, maybe 50% might not open up again. And again, these are small businesses. We're also seeing it in the retail sector as well, Greta. Just over the past few days, Brooks Brothers and Taylor, Bed Bath & Beyond are going to be closing 200 stores. The hits keep on coming.
We did see the economy picking up speed pretty quickly as states started reopening in May. Now we're facing this threat of another shutdown, a partial shutdown, all this uncertainty. And do you think, though, we'll see the same, ramp up of economic activity quickly after this next round of closures does pass?
Well, I think it depends also. Some of the states that went through this earlier are opening up. This is where I live out here on Long Island. They're finally entering phase 4, and some of the malls that have the proper air conditioning filters in, they're going to be starting to opening up actually tomorrow. So other parts of the country are starting to open. Others might have to hold off a little bit or roll back to some degree. I find it hard to believe, outside maybe of California, maybe Gavin Newsom, and there's been some threats with Garcetti in Los Angeles going back to a shutdown. I really don't see Ron DeSantis doing anything in Florida at this point in time. And from what I've heard, the plans to open up Disney, they're going forward with that this weekend.
Another round of stimulus is, of course, looking more and more likely. White House and Congress discussing plans for that measure. The White House says they do support another round of stimulus checks. What do you think should be included in that bill and what should not be part of that bill?
I'm not a fan of the stimulus checks. I'm really not. I don't think that that's, quite frankly, a great idea. I'm more along the lines of trying to help out young entrepreneurs so we can basically get some of these businesses sold and bought by somebody else so we can reopen and get people back to work. I do hope there are some protections within this bill for businesses in regards to liability. Someone ends up getting COVID and says, oh, geez, I caught it in your store. I caught it in your restaurant. Really? How do you know? Can you prove that? But it's not going to matter to some attorney that's going to say, hey, we're going to sue you anyway. And that can be devastating for small businesses out there. So they do need some protection.
And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is calling for those expanded unemployment benefits to be extended past that July 1st deadline. What are your thoughts on that? I know you don't agree. What can we do instead to stimulate Americans to get back to work?
I think I do everything and anything that you can to encourage people to get back to work. It's oftentimes Washington, D.C. becomes the church of unintended consequences, and they put things through that they rush through and they don't think about what's going to happen next. Republicans are trying to rectify that mistake with some sort of back to work bonus to encourage people to get back to work. I think that's a much better, even though I'm not a fan of it, I think it's a much better idea than continuing $600 a week from now until, who knows, Election Day.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.